So hello everybody. I think we'll kick off now. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone that's joined us so far. Just a few items of housekeeping. Please can everyone mute their microphones when they're not speaking, just to avoid having background noise for the speakers during the webinar. There's also a chat panel where you can post any questions or have an ongoing discussion. We have allowed 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for a Q&A, so we will take those questions that are posted on the chat panel and ask them at the end of the webinar. And also the call is being recorded, so anyone who's unable to attend, or if you want to pass on this information to your colleagues, you can catch up with it afterwards, and information will be posted following this webinar. So we're here, as per the invitation, to talk about how the long-standing partnership between Randstad and VSO is transforming both the livelihoods of young people in Tanzania and India, and also is strengthening VSO's ability to source skilled volunteers through our innovative employee, volunteer, and programmer model. Marion Kiewit from Randstad and myself, so Chibuka from VSO, we'll kick off with a brief introduction to our partnership, and then we'll actually hear directly from colleagues and volunteers around the world about the transformative work that we're doing. So Marion, I'll hand over to you to talk about some of the motivations for Randstad to partner with VSO and the way that this has taken shape and evolved over time to become the partnership that it is today. Marion, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chibuka. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good, great. Yes, well, here's the next slide already. I see. Well, as you can see in the slide, we started this partnership already 13 years ago, so indeed it's long-standing. The main reasons for Randstad for this collaboration at the time were we wanted to express our core values. Simultaneous promotion of all interests in particular. It's our mission shaping the world of work. So this is a clear link with our core activity, matching the right people to the right job. The partnership is also an expression of our social commitment, our sustainability, our CSR. We want to create value for society. And for the company's sustainability, by the way, employee engagement and pride through corporate volunteering opportunities. So the objectives of the partnership, we work with VSO in various ways, and knowledge sharing is actually the key characteristic. So our employees can volunteer while using their typical Randstad skills like finance, IT, HR in particular maybe, communications, marketing, management consultancy, organizational development, and that sort of things. Our people can go on overseas placements, either up to 3 months or 3 to 9 months of duration. They don't necessarily need to go overseas if their personal circumstances don't allow them to. They can also provide pro bono support from home or from the office. And then there's financial support in different ways. Until now, we've had around 200 volunteers from Randstad, and they worked in some 25 countries across Asia and Africa. I think we can go to the next slide. Thank you. In 2015, we, VSO and Randstad together, had a strategic update, and then we jointly decided that we wanted even more alignment in the program with both Randstad and VSO goals. So we decided to put a stronger focus on the themes of employability and entrepreneurship. These are very much recognizable to our employees and appealing to their skills and actually what they do every day. We also decided to focus on a limited number of countries, initially Tanzania and India. This may, of course, change over time. And additionally, we wanted to give a stronger support to VSO to strengthen their recruitment. Now, Chibuka will elaborate on this.
Thanks, Marion. So what has this meant in practice? In practice, so the partnership is now focused really on two key pillars of activities. So the first of these is increasing the impact of VSO's employability and entrepreneurship programs on poor and marginalized youth and women. So most of the grant funding and the employee volunteering opportunities are now concentrated in two VSO empowered youth for entrepreneurship and employment programs. The first of these is the Randstad Youth Employability Program in Tanzania, which is a newly created project. And the second is AGAS in India, which is an existing program that VSO India runs with Bharti Infratel, which Randstad volunteers are now contributing to. And just to elaborate a little bit on what Marion was saying, the reason that we've now focused on just a few countries is firstly that these countries already have well-developed youth employability programs, but also so that instead of having individual volunteers, Randstad volunteers spread across the globe on one-off placements, we've now concentrated volunteers in these two locations where they can really be built into project design. We can ensure that there's a much stronger, better skills match for them, and there's also a continuity of work by establishing a relay model in these countries. So all in all, we're hoping that this will have more impact and more effectiveness, and that also we'll be able to measure this both for VSO and for Randstad, which hasn't really been all that feasible before with one-off placements. The second pillar of our activities has been this strengthening VSO's ability to recruit and manage appropriately skilled volunteers. So by this we mean building the capacity really of VSO staff and local partners. So for example, when we began to deepen the partnership in 2015, we developed what we've called the Recruiters Project, whereby we place Randstad specialist recruiters into VSO country offices to build their capacity. And we've also had received training, in fact, for VSO's newly established sourcing team from Randstad SourceRight in Budapest. So just some examples of some of our key activities. Importantly, I guess these activities are more transformative, as I said, in terms of impact and effectiveness, because they're strongly aligned to Randstad's youth employability agenda, and they strengthen our own employability offer through our core program area, whilst of course at the same time maximizing the use of Randstad volunteers' core competencies. So all up, hopefully, a win-win situation. I'll now hand over to my colleagues actually in Tanzania and India, so they can really explain firsthand how this pillar of activities is being implemented in practice. So first over to Clarice and Lizanne in Tanzania. Clarice, you need to unmute. Or Lizanne, just a moment, sorry. Clarice, can you hear us? Okay, otherwise what we might do, we will go to India first. Michelle, can you hear us?
Yes, Chabuka.
Yeah, okay, I'll fast forward the slides to India and we'll come back to Tanzania shortly.
Sure.
Okay, Sashal, over to you.
Thank you, Chabuka. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to talk about the India partnership and engagement that we have with Randstad. VSO India currently has different kinds of corporate volunteering programs, but the uniqueness about Randstad program is that It is actually a combination of India and international volunteers working together for 3 months on a particular project. We do implement programs, employee volunteering programs for companies such as IBM, which are purely international volunteering, for companies like Vodafone, which is completely national volunteering. But Randstad has actually led on this initiative, which is very unique in the context where we have a pair working together on one engagement, and we'll get to know more about that when my fellow volunteers talk about the initiative. What really happens in this kind of a scenario when you have people coming from the international offices as well as the local staff is that we ensure that both the international learning and approach and national contextualization work together hand in hand when the program is being implemented. I'll be talking a little more broadly about this engagement in India, and then I will bring on our program manager, Livelihoods, to talk specifically about the Aagaz initiative. And we'll be happy to take any questions towards the end. All the volunteer placements that are being contributing to VSO in India right now are actually contributing to the entire life cycle of the Aagaz project that we have. In total, talking about numbers, we over a period of this 1 year, we'll be impacting 3,150 women from marginalized communities through the engagement with Randstad in India. The engagement will further economically and socially empower these women, and we'll get to know a little more about that. What's interesting is, like Chabuka briefly mentioned, the model creates a win-win situation for all the stakeholders involved. First, community. When I say community, I mean the primary actors, the beneficiaries, as well as the local NGO partners whose capacities are strengthened by the engagement of the Randstad volunteers. These NGOs gain from quality advice and a fresh perspective on their work. They save on the huge cost of engaging expert consultants, which more often for non-profit organizations is hard to engage with. And they are supported in scaling up successful development models and approaches. For Randstad employees themselves, it's a life-changing personal development opportunity. They get to work in multicultural contexts with reduced resources, and often VSO placements actually push them to become highly creative problem solvers, build resilience to uncertainty, and re-engineer their tried and tested business techniques in a non-profit space. They increase their awareness and knowledge of development issues, and at the heart of VSO is the opportunity to become tomorrow's global leaders and fight poverty at the same time. And in this entire engagement, the third stakeholder, Randstad, also gains because in partnership with VSO, they are addressing key development issues through the skills of their employees to build a deeper engagement with potential in-country stakeholders. They are joining us in our mission to realize the sustainable development goals through utilizing the skills of both their national and international high potential employees. They gain business intelligence and access to emerging markets, increase staff satisfaction, support recruitment, and build stakeholder relationship, and at the same time foster innovation and entrepreneurship to cultivate innovative 21st century. So overall, we really feel that this engagement has not at all been transactional, but really transformational in achieving all the objectives for all these stakeholders. Now I'd like to move on to Anthony to talk about the Aagaz project in general.
Hello, I'm Anthony, Program Manager for the Livelihood in VSO India. Can I have the previous slide? Sabuka? Yeah, no, the previous, yeah. So Aagaz is an Hindi word also, and it has a meaning. The meaning is a new beginning. So in this project, what we do is that we work with marginalized women in the urban setting. So in 5 cities in India, we have started this program. Those women who are economically not empowered, socially also not empowered, socially marginalized, economically marginalized, those women staying in the slums of these 5 cities, Lucknow, Patna, Raipur, Ranchi and Bhubaneswar, the 5 cities, and to train these women, giving them a skill, and then after training them, putting them into a job which gives dignity. So this is the whole project. The project looks very simple, training the women and placing them for a dignified job. So with this, when we started the program, we found out that there are a lot of things that goes into that. The whole mobilization, the whole training portion, the placement, and that all requires literal quality aspects. And that's where we thought that we need to partner with Randstad to see that throughout the life cycle of the project, a very, very organized and professional people helps us to make this program more impactful to the community for whom we are working. Next slide. So this is the map of India, and you can see all these 5 states in which we work. The 5 cities are in these states. Our target for over next 3 years, 1 year we have already passed, and now 2 more years are there. And in that, our target is around 3,150 women who need to be trained, and around 70% that we have kept a target, which comes around 1,205 women, to be placed and then followed up for at least 6 months, that we make them comfortably placed in a job so that they sustain in that job, and their protection issues, their salary issues, everything is taken care of. So this is the major goal that we are working for under this project. Next slide. So with Randstad, a total number of that we are hoping is that 12 Randstad volunteers who will be coming here, 6 international and 6 Indians, and they will give 3-month time for this project in helping us in coaching and mentoring, in coming up with a standard operation procedure, in enhancing the communication visibility activities for the program, the curriculum development, organizational development, and also helping in monitoring and evaluation. So in this project, which looked initially very simple, training and placing, and when we went through this program in 1 year, then we found that a lot of things that needs to be enhanced to see that the program really gives a big impact. So in coaching and mentoring, we have Stephanie, who has just completed 3 months, and now we have Merlin also here, who is helping us in coaching and mentoring. And then also a national volunteer worked with Stephanie, Vikas, who also helped us in this coaching and mentoring, as well as coming up with standard operation procedure, so which gives a direction to the project holders, the implementing partners, to see that how they should have a common understanding, common operational procedure to see that the program really is done professionally. The big challenge in this program that we found last year was that the whole communication and visibility of this project. So visibility with among different stakeholders, starting from community, the employer, government, media, and everything. And so Lisette came in, volunteer from Randstad Netherlands, and she is helping us now to brainstorm that how to make a proper communication visibility strategy. The whole curriculum development, we have developed the curriculum, and now Merlin is helping us to operationalize that curriculum in the classes, in the training classes that we have in these 5 cities. So in that way, the whole organization development, because these organizations which are working are at the grassroots level, are a very small organization. They don't have a professional organizational policies and procedures. So Maushami, who is our Indian Randstad volunteers, is helping us to see that how to make this organization which are implementing our programs at the grassroots level to be more professional, to have a proper policies, proper financial policies, HR policies, gender policies, anti-sexual harassment policies, because so many women are working there. And then also now we are looking for more on monitoring and evaluation to have we have an online MI system, but how can we enhance it, make it more robust? So in these whole aspects, which really contributes for the quality of the program, because if you see the program is much more of target oriented, like 3,000 women we have to train, 2,000 we have to place, but from there to add quality to the training that we impart to these girls, the training should be of quality, the placement that we do should be of quality, and really economic and social empowerment happen in the life of these women is what is Randstad volunteers helping us to achieve down the line. So the 1 year that we are having an engagement with Randstad volunteers, we feel that we are moving away from the numbers, from the quantitative aspect, the qualitative aspect of the number. And now with this strength that Bharati Patel, who is our funding partner, who is funding this program, has understood that we have that partnership with Randstad and VSO all together. So they have also agreed to now scale this up into 4 more cities. And that's why hopefully that maybe by next month we'll be able to have we'll be able to start a program in 4 more cities, and altogether we'll be like impacting or touching 8,000 marginalized women in India. And you know, the all program is not only just training a woman and placing a woman, but if you see from a sustainable development goal, then you will find that this whole Randstad and VSO partnership is also addressing the whole zero poverty, no hunger, gender equality, reducing all type of inequality. So it's also contributing the whole global framework of sustainable development. Yeah, next slide.
Yeah.
So when you
dat kan.
can you put your mic on mute? Hello.
Hi, we're just trying to check who
Yeah.
on mute. Funke, can you put mute on, please? Thank you.
Nou wel, voor ons absoluut ook.
And Joran, sorry, would you mind muting the microphone?
Ja, maar dan gaan wij...
Sorry, we're just saying...
Ik ga niet even met gereed moeten bezien hoe dat we dat gaan regelen met hem deels. Hoe dat we daar een oplossing voor kunnen verzinnen. Goed?
Joran, wij kunnen jou allemaal horen.
Ja.
Joran.
Ik moet neerleggen, want ik ben hier in een call. En ze horen mij. Goed, merci hè. Yo, salut.
Joran, je kunt je microfoon uitzetten. Graag. Dankjewel.
Yeah, so I'm back again.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Please go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, so some of the testimonies that we have put in the slides, one we have tried to put it from the perspective of women who are being trained in Aga's program. So I don't read, and her name is Suman, and I don't read the quotes there, but it is there, which shows that how much she is thankful that for this project, which has enhanced her personality, how to speak with the customers, how to have a healthy relationship in the business where she's working. So that shows that whole confidence level of this slum woman who have been like who had been like affected by whole patriarchal society and was scared to come out today because of this program is out and she's exploring her talents. Then we also have a quote from local partner who is implementing this program. The name of the partner is Bharatiya Kisan Sangh, and the coordinator of this project, Arvind, who is really a dynamic coordinator, and he talks about that how Randstad volunteers have helped them to understand the whole program from the perspective of research perspective and to really find out what is there that they couldn't do, what is there which they cannot understand, how to explore those things. And also we have a quote from Vartika, who is from Randstad India, and she talks about the whole engagement of the volunteers and the good work that the volunteers can do. So by this, what we want to say is that for everybody, in everybody's life, starting from the woman to the local partner to Randstad India to VSO India, everybody have been touched by this program, and this engagement, this partnership with Randstad and VSO really have helped us. For VSO India, who has been working fully into the program, Randstad India came and gave a different perspective to see it from different angle, from understand it from different other perspective that goes around from other stakeholders' perspective. And really, it is like it's a joint partnership which is helping this program to move on for the betterment, ultimately for the betterment of the women. Yeah. So with this, I'd like to hand over to our volunteer, Indian Randstad volunteer, Vikas, who will be sharing his experience on this project.
Thank you, Anthony.
Next slide.
Could you just go back to the previous slide if you don't mind, please? Yeah, so that is me in the third photograph down. So hi all, this is Vikas. So in my current assignment with VSO, I am part of Anthony's team. We are working on Project Agaz, as Anthony mentioned. So when I reached, I'm from India, but it was like my second visit to Delhi. So when I reached Delhi, I was completely new to the social kind of sector. But the way I was welcomed in the team with VSO, I think they made me feel very comfortable. It was a very warm feeling that I got right from day one. I gradually got introduced to different aspects of the project, like what are the objectives, the scope, the scale of the project, who the stakeholders were. So at the same time, they were also constantly helping me to get insights into what the social sector actually was. I also had my colleague with me, Stephanie, from Randstad, Belgium. She's sitting to my left in the photograph. I think I'm sorry, you'll have to go on mute.
Because you can continue. I think whoever just unmuted is back on mute.
Okay, so I was saying that I had Stephanie, my colleague from Randstad, Belgium. So she was a great help to me in terms of doing the initial research, and that research helped me with my task because I was asked to make the SOP for the project. So I started working on the SOP. My goal or my aim was to give a better structure to the project, and so when I started working, I first started off working with different partners, with different partner organizations, then came up with a first draft, and Stephanie and we had gone to a partner organization, and then over a period of time, we gave shape to this SOP. And then in the first week of April, a small workshop was done for about 3 days. So it was then that during that workshop, Stephanie and I started seeing what was the impact of our work. Personally, each single day over the last 2.5 months, the project has taught me so many aspects, like how to be more patient, how to be inclusive, how not to be, how could I be better as a person? Even when I was in the field, it was a lot of self-learning. Then at the end of the day, what I feel is once I go back to my work, I will always have this influence of the social sector with me. And probably it's a little too early to comment because the SOP still has to get implemented with other partner organizations. But I think once the SOP is successfully implemented, driven, tested across the different partners, I think over a period of time, we will see a large impact, and in terms of how the partners would function and in terms of giving a better structure and shape to the project. That's quite about it from my side. So now I would like to introduce my colleague from Randstad, Netherlands, Lisette, who would now talk about her journey with VSO and her volunteering experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas. Well, hi, I'm Lisette. I've been working on the Agaz project for just over a month now, and I will be here till June. My volunteering journey started a year ago when I showed my interest to VSO, and we just waited for the right moment and the right opportunity to come by. So when the job in India for communications on Agaz came up by the end of last year, I was ready and very excited to go. I had 2 months to prepare before leaving in March, and within 1 month I had to do an online course about volunteering, a homework assignment about India, and I had a weekend of training in London. And that was quite intense beside my full-time regular job and arranging all the practical things, but it really helps to get you off to a good start. I haven't really been nervous to go, and a lot of that had to do with the support I received from VSO and Randstad family and friends. On my arrival, the people in the office have been very open and helpful from the start. There's a lot of laughter at the office, and my colleagues at VSO India, well, as you just heard, they're very passionate about what they do and why they do it, and it's impossible not to be affected by that. Naturally, as a volunteer, you have to bring a certain personality to it yourself, just in being flexible, practical, and open-minded. But the people around you are key in smoothing the path. And I like that feel of teamwork we have. My assignment is about increasing the visibility and awareness of AGAS by communications and amongst all the stakeholders. Because a lot of stakeholders are involved. First thing we organized were a couple of brainstorms, which will form the basis for a communication plan for the next, well, I think 1 or 2 years, maybe longer. And to have such an impact on a program and deliver something that is going to be used on a day-to-day basis is really rewarding. What also really helps a lot is to have a local volunteer from Randstad India around. Vikas, who you just heard about, as SOP. His role and added value stretches way beyond his assignment on the AGAS project. Not just for the practical things in Indian life, but also for a better understanding of the cultural ways. So I would definitely recommend local volunteers teaming up with foreign volunteers. A big benefit for me is that I get to meet great people and see a lot of India. Being a part of everyday life, I'm experiencing the different sides of India. Also, I'm learning every day professionally, but also about Indian culture. And being able to do all that in a meaningful way while contributing to projects that really make a difference, well, I feel that just makes me very lucky to be here. So that was my volunteering journey. Give the word back to Chabuka.
Super. Thank you so much, everyone. That was a great presentation. Thanks. And I'm sure there'll be questions, but we'll take those, if that's okay, right at the end of the webinar. We'll pass back now to Tanzania, just going backwards in the slides here. First question, just quickly, Clarice, are you back online or not? No, I think not. She might pop in or out, but just as a quick introduction actually to Clarice, because it's an interesting one. Clarice is actually a Randstad volunteer who worked on one of our projects, the VNA project, a youth employability project with Shell for 7 months. And then finishing that project, she's actually now the interim livelihoods advisor for VSO. So actually quite a good example of the strength of our partnership, that we're really sharing our resources in this way. So you may or may not hear from Clarice, but I will in any event hand over now to Lizanne, who's one of our other Randstad volunteers working on the Randstad Youth Employability Project in Tanzania, as well as the project manager, Abraham. Over to you.
Yes, hello, this is Lisanne. I'm presenting this together with Clarice, but yeah, you just heard she has some issues with her internet. So I will tell a little bit about Randstad in Tanzania. We start now with a lot of volunteers. I think like today we have 10 volunteers in total, and yearly there will be like 20 volunteers doing different placements between 3 and 9 months. They're coming all over the world. Now we have people from Japan, the USA, Netherlands, and Belgium. But it's very diverse. We had also people from other countries last year and the years before. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. There are a few different projects that Randstad is contributing to. Right now they are based in Zanzibar, Dar es Salaam, Lindi, and Mtwara. Clarice is now in Mtwara, all the way in the south, and the internet is not very well there. And I'm right now in Lindi, also in the south of Tanzania. Yeah, it's a very beautiful place, but a lot of work to do for Randstad. Can you go to the next slide? Yes, thank you. Just to give you some background about Tanzania, some facts. There are right now 53 million people. Of course, it's a big country, but there are also coming a lot of people extra in the next 30 years. And especially the amount of youth is really big. Of course, you see it already, but also if you see those numbers, you will really see how much work there is to be done. Every year, 1 million young people will arrive in the job market, and they struggle to find wage employment. And it's also had to do a lot with they don't have the right skills. And of course, Tanzania needs to create a lot of jobs to absorb all those young people. And we as Randstad are right now here to contribute to those kinds of issues that are now within this country. We have 3 different projects. We have some people that support the staff, for example, recruitment. And that's based in Dar es Salaam, in our head office. And then we have a lot of people working within different projects of youth employability and enterprises. We have right now 6 projects I just explained in those 4 different cities and towns. And people are really spread out. So all the Randstad volunteers have contribution within different projects. And we have also a cash project that's on Zanzibar, and that's do with agriculture and helping the smallholders farmers. Yeah, thank you. There's a project, Randstad Youth Employability, in Tanzania, and that's a cross-cutting project. So every quarter and every 3, 6 or 9 months there are coming new people from Randstad, and they will contribute in those 4 livelihood projects. So we chose to contribute to 4 of them to make sure there's collaboration and knowledge exchange about youth employability, enterprises, but also industry linkage, career guidance and employability skills. We have different partners. It's very diverse vocational training centers. You have a lot of them also in Lindi Matwara, the local government, and of course the industry. And so we try to work together and build as much as possible on youth employability in enterprises. Next slide, yes. Now, we want to tell a little bit about a volunteer experience. Clarice can now, of course, not say anything about her experience, so I will talk about mine. I arrived last December in Tanzania, and first I had an introduction in Dar es Salaam, and then I heard I would be based in Zanzibar to do a first project, the first 3 months of my placements. And I did a research within livelihoods for Clarice also, and together with them and a colleague also from the Netherlands about the gaps between the different projects. So where can we build on extra knowledge and see if there's anything interesting we can contribute on in the terms of youth employability. So it was very interesting to talk to all the project managers and to hear about what's going on through whole Tanzania, because there are also projects based on different regions in the north, in the west. So it was very diverse. And after those few months, we decided now it's time to move on, and we will implement a career development manual and a toolkit in a few different projects in the south, in Lindi and Matwara. So now I'm based in Lindi. I arrived here 2 weeks ago to start implementing a career development manual who has been used before on Zanzibar. It's called the VNA. And that project has a toolkit, My World of Work, and it gives a lot of information about career development and all kinds of exercises that teachers and other people also from industries or maybe ministries can use. So we want to implement this in a project of VSO. It's called Elimu Fursa, and they have 12 secondary schools in this region and 250 teachers, a lot of teachers, and more than 4,000 students on the secondary schools. We're going to train a lot of those teachers about career development so they can train the students about those kind of topics like entrepreneurial skills, soft skills, employability skills, and all kinds of things. Yeah, so that's the last part of my placement. I'm working here until June, and I really enjoy it because it's so diverse. You meet so many different people. Of course, it has a lot of challenges of working abroad with all those different kind of people and nationalities, but it's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to implement the project in Lindy. And in May and June, there will come new people to Lindy and also to Matwara to build on this implementation. And hopefully we can go on with this project here and train as much as the teachers on career development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Great job. Thanks for taking on Clarice's roles as well. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we've now heard all about, obviously, Randstad's programmatic support that they give us. Just to touch very quickly then, going to the end of the presentation here, just to touch very quickly, the other pillar that I mentioned previously is how Randstad provide us with recruitment support to VSO staff and to local partners. Historically, we've actually had a member of staff seconded from Randstad to VSO for a period of over 2 years as a corporate employee volunteer manager. And we've had many other Randstad staff supporting the recruitment, our people group function. Also, as I mentioned previously, in 2015, we started this recruiters project, where Randstad specialists support VSO country office staff specifically in building HR and recruitment capacity, so that they can obviously effectively deliver volunteers to where they're most urgently needed. So they've worked in partnership with the country and resourcing teams on the ground. So far we've had three-month placements to Cambodia, Ghana and Uganda, and we've had one volunteer actually spending 9 months in Malawi supporting our office there. And I know that there's others in the pipeline as well looking to receive similar support in the future. We also recently had Randstad SourceRight in Budapest delivering training to the newly established sourcing team. So recognizing really that VSO has to start sourcing and building up a talent pool of candidates with the right skills and expertise as soon as project proposals are developed. So far VSO has always worked with candidates that actively apply because they want to volunteer with VSO, but we've had less experience with reaching out to a passive audience, which is essentially what sourcing is all about. So Randstad have helped us to develop in this space as well. So that's, I think, pretty much covers everything, more or less, in the partnership, unless, Marion, you have anything you wish to add. But otherwise, I think we will move on to the Q&A section of the call. There's nothing in the chat panel, so I think we'll just open it up. If you do want to ask a call, if you could just unmute your microphone and ask a question, sorry, that would be great. Anyone? Otherwise, Marion, did you have anything you wanted to add? Sorry.
Well, no, I don't have anything to add to this. It's never fully complete, but I think it really gives a very good impression of our partnership, the way we work, and certainly also about the volunteer experience. And I would like to thank, well, my colleagues in the first place, the Randstad volunteers, for sharing what they have experienced so far. But then also you, Chabuka, and the other people from VSO for giving us a good picture, I think, of what we're doing, particularly in the two focus countries. So yeah, thank you all very much for these great presentations.
Thanks, Marion. I think we do have actually a question coming through on the chat panel, so if we could just give it 1 minute to come through. Oh no, it was a comment.
Nirvana.
Oh, there's one more coming. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, Rachel, I think I see from the chat panel you might have a question. Do you want to unmute and ask the question, if you can?
Okay. Yeah, I was just interested for the shorter term placements, the ones that are about 3 months, the experiences of the Randstad team or India and Tanzania office of how to make those short term placements useful, because it's something we've struggled here under the other corporate program that we have, where short placements like 3 months, unless it's for a piece of research, is quite difficult to achieve very much, because it takes about a month or longer to settle in.
Rachel or Anthony, do you want to address that one first?
Yeah, for this project in Aghaz, the areas that we had decided in which Randstad support required 3 months rigorous reflection, research, coming up with an action plan, and then also implementing in a pilot basis in 1 or 2 organizations. So for us, it was very clear from the beginning that we need 3 months, and that's why when we are negotiating with Randstad India also, many a time this offer came that can we reduce it, but we are very fixed that we want 3 months, because we know. So one of the things which helped maybe us is that we are very focused at 3 months what our work we need to get our volunteers engaged into. So we are very clear and focused. And in our experience, we had 3 international volunteers with us, and I don't feel that they took 1 month time to settle down. So it was also the way maybe the office have induction process that took place, and the other infrastructures that volunteers require were all in place. So that created a safe space, a comfortable space for the volunteer. And for me, Lisette can say that she's here, but for me, the volunteer took at least 1 week maybe to settle down. But after that, maybe, or 2 days, she's saying.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, sorry. Sorry. So she says that it's 2 weeks she took to settle down and everything, because new culture, new environment, everything new. But after that, I think the whole induction process, the planning process, the space that we gave them, the pace, because the pace in which we asked them to work on, and the way the infrastructure that we created to interact with the volunteers, I think 3 months time was enough. They had enough work, and many a time it was also. So I think Vikas also wants to share.
I think also the structure, the way Aghaz is designed. Now, when we had Stephanie, she started off with the research part, and from there I joined. I picked up. So I think our work or our roles and responsibilities also is such way it is defined that when one person is like 3-4 weeks into the project, we have another partner who would join. I mean, a different colleague who joins, and he or she picks it up from there. And I think learning curve typically for any individual should be about 2 to 3 weeks, and then from there we still have about 10 weeks in our hand. So for Aghaz, it has been good, and I think 3 weeks is a decent enough time to manage. Yes, sir.
If I may add to that, maybe particularly looking at Tanzania, where we have been working according to our current concept for a longer time already. We try to create teams that come together, like 2-3 people, so you can help each other. But we also try to have some overlap in the teams. So when you arrive, you get work carried over from the previous team, and I think that's also very helpful. It doesn't always work that way, but we try to organize it as much as possible. And then furthermore, I think you could also even start preparing at home. For example, we've seen now a couple of candidates from the Netherlands that are due to take off for Tanzania in May. They have had Skype calls with people that are currently there. So there's more you can do, I think, to keep the induction period short, and you can get going and have an impact already almost from the start.
Thanks, Marianne.
That helps, Rachel. Yeah.
Thank you.
And happy to elaborate on that later, if you offline, if you like. Yeah.
I think Dawn,
Thanks. Yeah.
Rachel, Dawn, country director from Tanzania, also has some comments on that, actually, to your question. Dawn?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thanks, Dawn. Oh, we could.
Okay, all right. I can also see that Clarice is typing. So if Clarice wants to talk. Okay, let me just keep going. Well, first of all, thank you very much for everyone so far for this presentation. And just to answer Rachel's question, I think as you heard from Lisanne, how we're working with our Randstad volunteers is we have around 6 livelihood interventions that are working along the youth employment and entrepreneurship pathway. And what we looked at is to make best value of both short-term and longer-term volunteers is to identify the key interventions across all of these projects that our volunteers would work on. So I think you heard we're working on career service advisory work, we're working on industry links, and therefore some of them can be quite specific for 3 months, or otherwise they're quite easy to hand over to subsequent Randstad volunteers. And we have a great example of a 3-month placement that's delivered great results. So apologies if I pronounce his name incorrectly, but we have a Japanese volunteer here called Takehiro. And what he's been doing is he's been building linkages between our vocational education colleges and the Japanese companies that are operating in Tanzania that previously we hadn't been able to get access to. So Takehiro spent time before he came building relationships with the Japanese companies in Japan. Then when he arrived in Tanzania, he already had those relationships underway, and he's already been able to find placements for our students to start working in Japanese companies. So I think that's a really good success, and we're hoping to have more examples. And just before I go, we just want to mention Christoph, our other Randstad volunteer who was missed off our presentation. We're very sorry, but he's doing a great work supporting our ICS team.
Thanks, Dawn. Thanks for that. Are there any other questions?
Dabuka, Lisette want to share her point about the question that Rachel asked.
Sure, perfect. Okay, Lisette, over to you.
I just wanted to add because in my case it was quite an open start for communications, and there's not a volunteer after this after my period that will follow up on it. Because also if you have an assignment that doesn't have those conditions, then it's all about knowledge sharing. So you have to give the knowledge back and just set up a baseline. So the staff at VSO or at the location where you work at, they can work with it. So that's the whole purpose of the knowledge sharing thing. So so they will follow up, and if it's not a volunteer, then it should be somebody from the organization itself or the location you're working in.
Thanks.
Yes,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Are there any additional questions? Otherwise, I think, Clarice, are you back online now?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry,
Yep.
the internet was so unstable that it took me an hour to get back in the call.
Don't worry, it's still nice to hear your voice briefly. Do you want anything to add to that question, or do you want to share very quickly anything of your own experience since we missed you during the presentation?
So my own experience as a Randstad volunteer are a bit different, I think, than most. I started as a volunteer in Zanzibar as an industry link advisor. Honestly, the best time of my life. I experienced so many adventures, and I'm still having lots of adventures. But then after these 6 months, I started as interim program manager for the Secure Livelihoods program in Tanzania, which truly has been a good experience for me. I get a lot of freedom in the role from VSO, and also guidance from Dawn, which is really helpful. And I think I learned so much for my future career, and also a lot about the world, and met so many different people with so many different backgrounds. So yeah, that's a bit of my experience with VSO in Tanzania.
Super, thanks so much, Clarice. Okay, well, let's start.
So I don't know if there are any specific questions about
I'll just see
my
if any
time here or
questions for anyone. We've got about 3 minutes left if anyone wants to ask a last question. No, okay. Otherwise, so I've obviously put the details here on this slide. We will be distributing the presentation and the recording of the call to everyone that was on this call and through our other channels as well. And there are further sort of series in this webinar series, so watch this space. We'll inform you about the next webinar on the topic that will be about soon. So thank you so much again to all the presenters, to everybody who joined, and to Rachel for your questions. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you from our side.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.